Welcome back to my new video on Backup Exec 2015. In today's video, I'll be showing you how you can use the Backup Exec and the tools in it to back up your domain controller. We'll be also deleting certain files and folders from our DC, and we'll use the tool then again to restore those folders, and we'll also delete certain objects from the Active Directory and use Backup Exec to restore those objects. Just to give you a brief idea of the environment that I have, I'm running VMs on my Hyper-V. So just to make it visually much more easy for you to understand, I'm running Backup Exec on BSCCM. That's the server on which I've installed Backup Exec with a red background, and the two domain controller that I have is DC1, which is my root domain controller, and DC5, which is my another domain controller. I'll be using Backup Exec to back up the DC5, so we are not bothering much about the DC1 domain controller. So this is the points that I want to cover. We'll create a storage pool in the Backup Exec's server. I'll show you how you can use Backup Exec to back up your domain controller, which is BDC5. And then we'll also delete certain objects from our DC and use the tools in our Backup Exec server to restore them. And further on, we'll delete certain objects from the Active Directory and we'll restore them too. So the name of my domain is sharma.local. The two DC are DC1 and DC5, and the name of my Backup Exec server is BSCCM. As you can see, the one in the red background is BSCCM, the DC5 and the DC1. Okay, so let's start. So let's go to the server BSCCM. Let me make it full screen. So the first thing you want to do is that you want to double click on the Backup Exec icon. I've already opened this one, and I'm on the home screen of my Backup Exec tool, and as you can see that I have downloaded the trial version. So you can download, if you want to download, you can go to the Veritas.com and you can download the trial version if you want to play around. And there are a couple of options in this one, like backup restore, job monitor, storage, reports. I'll show you in my video later on how you can use these tools. So the first thing you want to configure is the storage, where you can back up your domain controller. So let's click on the storage option. As you can see that I have two storage pools. One is Girish Backup and one is Girish Backup 2. So let me just show you that. So if I go to the File Explorer, as you can see that I have two hard drives in this one, the V and the C. So the V, I have given the name Girish Backup 2. This is the place where we'll be backing up the DC5, which is our domain controller. So if you want to create your own storage pool, what you can do is that you can one second. You can right click under the storage option. You can click on configure storage. Just give it's opening up. And there are a lot of options in this one. You can use the disk-based storage, network, tape, and storage pools. As I showed you that I have created a hard drive in the server, which I've given the name V. That's the place we will be backing it up. So it's a disk-based storage. So you can click next. You can again click the disk storage because that's the place we'll be backing it up. And you can give the name. So as you can see, I've already given the name Girish Backup 2, but in case you're making it for the first time, you'll give a name, whatever name you want to do, and then we'll click next, and then it will show you in your storage option, whatever name we have given up. So I'm just gonna close this and come out of this one, and let's go back to the backup and restore option. So we can just click on the window. The one thing that you have to do over here is that you need to add the server. So as you can see that DC1 is already added on to this server. I need to, because I need to back up DC5, I need to add the server. So I'll click on add server, and then there will be options. So it's a Microsoft Windows computer and server, which I'll select. I'll select next, and make sure you click on allow backup exec to establish his trust with the server. I'll click next. We'll give the name of our server, which is BDC5. I'll add it, and make sure that you have the rights and the permission to perform this job. So I'm logged in as an administrator, so I'll choose that account, and you can click next, and then you install. So what it's doing is that it's installing an agent on the DC5 server, so that our backup server can automatically talk with our domain controller. So it's just gonna take a couple of seconds. So it's updating server BDC5, so we'll just wait. So as you can see, it's installing the backup exec agent for Windows. So there is a bar which is showing that it's running. You can also check all the activities in the job monitor. We'll explore that option too. Let me do this way. Let me just pause the video, and I'll be right back after the installation is completed. Okay, so as you can see that the backup exec agent has been installed and the server has been added to it. So it will check mark with a green sign, and I'll finish it. If I go back on my domain controller, which is DC5, as you can see that the backup exec agent utility has been installed. That's the way they will be talking between each other. Just gonna give a moment for it so that it will show you DC5. So DC5 should be coming back. Let me just check what's happening. I'll be right back. So as you can see that the DC5 has been added to the list of the servers. DC1, DC2, DC5, and this is my backup exec server. So we'll be playing on the DC5. So the next step that we have to do is that you will right click on the server, and then you can go to the backup server, backup, and then you will use the backup to disk. We are not gonna talk about, you can, if you want, you can convert that to the virtual machine, but for the sake of simplicity we'll be just converting this to the, we'll be just backing up to the disk that we have on this server. So after you choose that option, there will be some windows that we have to configure. You will click next, you will continue. Okay, so my recommendation is that you should always test the credential just to make sure that you have all the rights to perform the backup. So as you can see that this is with this, because I'm logged in as an administrator, so I'll recommend to select all. So say you test all, so we're gonna back up the system state, the C drive, basically everything, whatever is there on the domain controller. So it should be pretty fast to check these credentials. And after that there should be a check mark on the credential status that we have all the rights to perform this. Okay, so the test has been completed, so you can click OK, and then you can configure the backup options. So what you'll do is that you'll go to the edit, and what we'll be doing is that we'll be doing a full backup. So you just need to pay attention to these options on your left side. So it's a full backup that we'll be doing, and we're gonna force it to run straight away. So run now with no recurring schedule. We're not gonna create any incremental backup, so we won't select this one, so I'm gonna cancel this. The next option, which is important, is that is the storage option. So if you remember that under the storage we created our storage pools, so we'll be backing it up on Girish Backup 2, which is my V drive. So just to show you that again, that's the place we're gonna back it up. So that's what we'll select it. If you want to keep it for time, for how many weeks you want, it's up to you, but it doesn't matter in this case because this is a test environment. So let's just keep this for, say, for a week. It doesn't matter, you can choose whatever you want, and then you can go to the network. You can choose, leave it to the default. You can manage your recipients, is up to you, but these things you can leave it to the default. If you want to run the test run, if you want to verify at the end of the job that the data has been backed up. And another important thing that you should pay attention on the Microsoft Active Directory. Now by default the granular recovery technology has been enabled. This is very important in case you want to back up the specific things, so I'll recommend you should check mark this one. So by default it is check marked, so you should be okay. And then after this you hit OK, and then OK again. So then there should be a brief summary of what are the options that we have chosen. It will just show us. Just gonna wait for that window to come up. Okay, So as you can see that the backup has been started. If you want to go under the job monitor option, as you can see that first thing that you can see is that the agent was installed successfully, and there is a green check mark. It means that the status is active. It means it's gonna start performing after discovering all the resources. So that means that your backup has been started. So this is gonna take some time. So what I'll do is that I'll pause the video, and once the backup is done, I'll be back. Okay, so as you can see now that our domain controller has been backed up. As you can see on just beside DC5 is backed up. Now STR full backup success. As you know, STR stands for simple disaster recovery. I'm gonna cover STR in my another video, but for the time being, if I go under the job monitor, it should show that the backup has been successful. So you see DC5 has been backed up on the storage that we have given, and it's been successful. So just to give you a recap, what we have done so far is we created a storage pool on our backup server. So basically we tell the server the place where we'll be backing up the data from the target server. It can be a disk-based storage or network storage depending upon the environment that you have. Then we added the domain controller which we want to back up. So that's a place where we tell the server we're gonna back that up. And then we went into the backup and restore, and we added the server which we want to back up, and then we run the full backup, and it has been backed up successfully. Okay, so let me just go now to the domain controller, because as I mentioned, the next step that will be following in this one is that I'll be deleting certain files and folder, and we'll see if the backup server will be able to restore that. So let's open the start. From the start, I'm gonna go to the computer. So I'm on DC5, which is the domain controller, and I'm gonna go to the C drive, and I have created a folder with the name test. Let me open this. I have a test document in this one under test 1. So this is the folder that we'll be deleting, and we'll see if we will be able to restore that or not. Okay, so let's delete this. Just right click and delete it. Okay, I'm gonna completely remove it from the recycle bin. Okay, now let's go back to our backup server. So under the backup and restore, you just click on the restore option. So as you can see, when you click on the restore, there is an option for files and folder volume. Because we're gonna restore the folder, we're gonna click next, and then you select next to, and basically this is the complete backup that we have done for the domain controller. It shows with the time too. So we're gonna expand this. And as you can see that this is the folder that we want to restore, so we'll just click, check this folder, and then you click next. So it gives the option that you want to restore this to the original location, so just leave it to the default settings, which is pretty standard, and then you click next again, and next again, and then next again. So you can run it. Basically this window tells you that when you want to run the restore, you can schedule it, but we want to run it right now, so we'll leave it to the default again. So click next and you finish. So now basically the backup, this server, which is a backup server, gonna restore that particular folder, and you see it's restoring right now. And if I go to the job monitor, there should be a job running. So just ignore this DC2, which I have switched it off so that I can use the resources properly on this laptop. So as you can see, under the job monitor, the agent was installed properly, then the backup was done properly too. Let me just delete this job which I was performing. So as you can see that the backup server was able to restore it successfully. So let's test this by going on to the domain controller, and if I go to the file explorer and go to my C drive, as you can see that the folder has been restored. So pretty easy, you can use this tool. Now let's go. Okay, so now let's go back to our domain controller, and we can open Active Directory users and computer. What I'm going to do is I'm going to delete certain objects. So I'm in user right now, and as you can see, workstation user is one of the OU that I've created. Under this I have 3 user, and one of them is test. So let's delete this user and see if we can restore that. So as you can see that the user has been deleted from the ADUC. Now let's go back to our backup server, which is VSCCM. Let's go to the, let me maximize this. Let's go to the backup and restore. And the backup and restore, let's select BDC5, and we're gonna restore. Just loading the job right now, so we're just gonna wait for a sec. As you know that the Active Directory database is in the ntts.dat file, and if you remember, when we backed up the domain controller, the whole system files and everything else was backed up too. So because we're gonna back up the Active Directory database, so we'll select the second option. Click next, and it should be pretty straightforward, the prompts. So it's gonna be Active Directory database again, so let's select that too. So click next. So we're gonna expand the system state, and we're going to expand our backup that we did. So again, it's loading. So it's subject under the Active Directory, so we will expand Active Directory. So just wait for it to load. So as we know that our domain name is sharma.local, so we're gonna expand the DC, which has all the objects under it. And as you can see over here, we have the OU with the name workstation user. So let's click onto this, and as here you can see that this is the user with the name test. So we'll select this and click next. we're gonna restore it to the original location. So you just click next, leave it to the default, click next again. Do you want to recreate deleted object? Click next again. We don't want to run any command, and we want to run it right now just to make sure that the user has been restored. So you just finish it, and it will run the job. And any job that you run in this, you can track it under the job monitor category, which is a very important tool in backup exec. As you can see that it's creating a restore job, so it will wait for it to complete. This is basically the summary of the selections that we have made in this one. So once the job has been created, it will run the job under the job monitor, and hopefully we'll be able to recover our object that we accidentally or somebody maliciously deleted. Okay. Still waiting for the restore job to be created. Okay, so if you want to go under the job monitor, these are job histories. Under that it will show up that the job is running, or it has been restored successfully or unsuccessfully. So as you can see that it is scheduled. So just waiting for the job history to populate. So it's initializing right now, so it's in active state, so it's mean it's running the restore job. Hopefully the user will be restored. So still cute. So waiting for the job to be completed. Okay. So it's going through its pre-processing what needs to be restored. So as you can see, it's running, and it seems it's been restored. Yes, it's been restored right now. So let's go back to our Active Directory users and computers. Let me just refresh, and as you can see that the user has been restored. Just to make a point here, whenever you restore any object, it is disabled, so you need to enable the account. So as you can see that there's a arrow down, which means that we need to enable the account. So let me just go to the I think the password needs to be changed, I believe. So let me give another password. I'm gonna hit OK. Okay, the password has been changed, and now I will enable the account, and hopefully it should be. So as you can see that the object test has been enabled. So it's very easy, right from users to OUs, anything that you delete, whether on the computer or from the Active Directory, with the backup exec, you'll be able to restore all these objects. So it's a very powerful tool, very powerful to use in any kind of environment. I would recommend you should play around with this one, and I'm sure it will be useful for you in your environment. Thank you, and I'll see you in my next video.